Hey, what's up everyone? Airball here, and today we're playing some good old Gruul in the Pioneer Streets. This is the Gruul vehicles list that a player called TCR Chess1 took to a 4-0 in the most recent Pioneer prelim event on Magic Online. And it's pretty much the same list that we've come to know and love, or hate, over the last 6-7 months. So this deck was developed basically to take on Rakdos. It's built around it's capable of having like a good Gruul start, right? You have 8 copies of Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elves, that kind of thing, and that enables you to play your 3 drops on turn 2. And a lot of them put a ton of pressure onto the board right away, right? Lovestruck Beasts beating down for 5 with a Llanowar Elf in play is great. You have Migloss from the new Phyrexian will be 1 set, which is just a 4/4 for 3 with great upside. Being able to attack with this with Vigilance into like a threatened opponent's Wandering Emperor or something is great. Being able to threaten to pump it for 2 or even 4 in any given combat step forces your opponents to think very carefully about how and when they block it. And you also get some extra utility in the form of killing artifacts and enchantments with it. So Miglo's great in the deck. Legendary, relatively hard to cast given the mana base, and so only 1 copy in the deck, but pretty happy with it overall. So you have this like Rakdos, or not Rakdos, you have this Gruul core that's capable of putting a lot of pressure on the opponent. But where it really shines is the resilience it has and the grind it has against Rakdos. So not only are you putting a ton of pressure on right from the beginning, but you have Esika's Chariot, which just puts a ton of permanents into play, which Rakdos has a very difficult time dealing with. Blue-White has a difficult time dealing with outside of like Farewell. But the main star of the show, of course, is Skysovereign Console Flagship, which is just a mid-range house. So not many ways for the Rakdos deck to deal with Skysovereign, especially if their removal of choice is Dreadbore and Go for the Throat. Because it's a vehicle, Dreadbore will basically never hit it, and Go for the Throat doesn't hit it because it's an artifact. So it also just does 3 damage whenever it attacks, and it does 6 in the air. It's very hard for the opponent to block it, and it kills Blood Tithe Harvesters, it kills Flipped Fables. The card's awesome, and that's why Rakdos has such a hard time dealing with it. Also, Rakdos relies on stabilizing against aggressive decks with Sheoldred, but that Sheoldred is ours all of a sudden once we play a copy of the Akroan War. The Akroan War just lets us steal that Sheoldred and push through the extra points of damage on turn 5 or 6 before the opponent can really stabilize. So that's the core game plan of the deck. In the sideboard, we address some of the weaknesses. You play 4 copies of Rending Volley because if you're playing a red-based deck, you probably should play some number of Rending Volley. Just uncounterable creature removal against blue and white. With Spirits on the uptick again and Dimir Rogues on the uptick again, this you definitely want the full playset, or if not the full playset, close to it. Akroan War, when it's great, and you have 3 more copies of it in the sideboard. And you have Thrun as like a hedge against blue-white control, which is probably the worst matchup the deck has by far. You have Unlicensed Hearse to deal with Greasefang. All of a sudden, you're the better Esika's Chariot deck if you can turn off their actual nut Greasefang draws with Unlicensed Hearse. I am not a fan of the 2 copies of Stonebrain in the sideboard, so if you've watched me play Magic for any amount of time, you know that I absolutely hate effects like this. Stonebrain, if you don't know, when you tap it, pay 2, and you can choose 1 card of your choice to exile any number of copies of that card from the opponent's deck, up to 4. So this is here basically to deal with Lotus Field. If you manage to name Lotus Field before a Lotus Field comes into play, then they can't ever win. They'll just never have enough mana to cast their spells, and their deck just turns off. But unless the Stonebrain does just turn off the deck that you're up against, it's 4 mana and a card spent to not affect the board, and most decks in the format have some other way to kill you. So if you're not absolutely neutering them with this card, it doesn't really belong. And I don't think that there's any deck that's super scared of the Stonebrain with any amount of representation in the field. And even if the Stonebrain were good, like even if you're playing against tons and tons of Lotus Field, that's one of your best matchups already. You're already beating down with Werewolf Pack Leader, you're beating down with Reckless Stormseeker into Esika's Chariot, which is the main combo of the deck. You don't need this card. But obviously TCR Chess thought differently and went 4-0, so we're going to play the deck as is. And speaking of playing the deck, let's hop into some matches and see how the deck does. Okay. On the play with a pretty good opening hand. It's the turn 2 Stormseeker into turn 3 Chariot hand, if we're not interacted with. And we're not super likely to be because opponent reveals Keruga. So And we're on the play, so it's unlikely the Llanowar Elves get stomped before the damage is done. I would think if there's a matchup we want to see, it's probably this one. Other than Rakdos. Savai Triome. We find land, which is great. I'm going to cast Reckless Stormseeker. Nope. Can't do it like that. So next turn, if they don't have a way to kill this Mystic, we're going to Chariot them into next week. This Boseiju is also great against the Enigmatic Incarnation deck as well, obviously. Just killing Enigmatic Incarnation is great. So we would love to just draw another land. That'd be pretty nice. Akroan War kind of mopey, but it does have targets. Obviously, like Enigmatic Incarnation is going to put some creature into play, and we'll be happy to steal it when they do. And if they don't have exactly untapped land Bone Crusher here, then I think the game is probably over. There's the untapped land. But no stomp. We go to Knight. Are they going to kill the Mystic in my upkeep? Apparently not. We draw Stomping Ground, which means we get to keep this Boseiju around for later. I am going to cast Esika's Chariot, because that seems like the thing to do. Sure. Alright, so against the Enigmatic Incarnation, realistically, do we want to sideboard at all? The boats don't seem super great. This is another case where I feel like the boat is just worse than Thrun. So I think I kind of like this. Bringing in Thrun feels so bad, but I guess, you know, they're going to have some number of Aether Gusts available to them. Yeah. Scavenging Ooze does not seem great. Maybe I want a Akroan War instead. I'm trying to think what targets does Rending Volley have in the matchup. Deputy of Detention comes to mind. Night of Autumn. Yeah, maybe I just want more Rending Volleys instead of these Thruns. They have Leyline Binding as well. But I guess those don't hit Thrun. I think we have enough gas without bringing in Thrun. I think I'm going to bring in Rending Volley. I'm going to cut the last boat. We'll bring in one copy of Thrun. How's that? Alright. On the draw. Pretty slow opening hand, realistically, but we do have Werewolf Pack Leader on 2, so how slow could it really be? We need to find land. But the pieces are here. We'll have some faith in our deck. On the draw, we're likely to draw land. And even just 3 land might be enough. I do love this Enigmatic Incarnation deck. I will probably play it at some point very soon. We find Llanowar Elves. So if we draw a land off the top, it lets us play a 3-drop next turn instead of a 2-drop. And if we don't, we still get to play Pack Leader. The worst case is if they kill the elf. So if like we play the elf, they have Stomp. Yeah. This is a gotta go fast matchup. I'm gonna play the elf. And if they kill it, then they're not playing one of their tap lands. I guess like the very worst case is like exactly the Triome that would let them play Leyline Binding on it. Yeah, they do have Stomp, so it's a punish. Oh, this is not the land I thought it was. Oh, okay. Well, I'm just stupid then. I thought this was the slow land. Oh. Well, then I've been playing wrong this whole time. Then that hand last game was definitely not a mulligan. Alright, well, I think we stomp the... Yeah. We stomp the goblin here. I would love to get more pressure on the battlefield, but I don't want them to be able to go off a turn sooner. And there's some value in holding up Rending Volley here. Opponent pitches 2 lands and draws 2 with Fable. Plays untap land. Casts Fires. And the backside of Bone Crusher. Yeah. Tough. Alright, we draw land, but it's tapped. I think we're just attacking here, hoping they trade, and then we'll play the backside of Bone Crusher Giant. They trade, which makes sense. There's probably no wrong decision there for them. So Fable flips, they have an active Fires. Clever Impersonator enters the battlefield as a copy of what? Fable, okay. That's not so bad, we have Stomp for that. And they just play another Bone Crusher, sure. So they buy the Chungus. He'll come next turn for sure. Find Cleave. Realistically, what happens next turn? They play land, they play Keruga, they draw 4 cards at least, maybe 5. They can't copy them. And we can stomp the one of the Kiki-Jikis on our turn. Alright, I'm going to go to combat and attack and see what they do. I assume if they traded Bone Crushers last turn, they'll also trade Bone Crushers this turn. Actually, maybe we're not supposed to. Maybe we're supposed to keep this Bone Crusher around so that our Chariot tokens next turn are enough to cleave effectively. Yeah, probably. Hey, Phoenix. Definitely behind the 8-ball here. They find the land. Here's Keruga. Draw 4. Draw 3? Why only 3? I don't get it. Is it because the copy doesn't have a mana value? Oh, Tolsimir, jeez. Yeah, we're in brutal shape here. So the wolf is going to come down. The wolf is going to trade with Bone Crusher, I assume. No? A cat? Alright, well that's their second spell, so we don't really have anything to fear by crewing the Chariot here. How am I doing? We're 0-1 in the league. We're up a game here in game 2. But we are in serious, serious trouble. Even Embercleave is not going to get us out of this. What are we doing? We're copying Bone Crusher Giant. Okay. So they're gonna get frisky? Okay. This is an aggressive line. Okay. I guess I'll take 12. What's the most damage we can push through? This is a very aggressive line from our opponent. Let's untap, see what we draw. Love-struck Beast is going to be a turn too late. If we don't kill him this turn, then there's no hope, really. So... we can't crew. Swing. Bone Crusher Giant can get through for at most 10. Can Rending Volley... Stomp. Actually, we can't. We don't have enough red to do all 3 red things. What happens if we... What happens if we try to wait another turn? Hold up, stomp, Rending Volley. I don't think we have anything, unfortunately. They have 4 cards in hand. Alright, well, we don't have it yet, so we need to set up for one more turn. Guess we can crew the Chariot, swing with it, make another cat. That's almost free. We have Rending Volley to kill whatever they block with. Sure. But if they, yeah. Alright, well, we'll probably have to block with the cat that we create, but we'll do this. And it's possible they block badly. We do have Rending Volley plus Bone Crusher here. Touch the Spirit Realm. Well, that's just gonna kill us. I assume. We don't get another cat. They just take this damage because who cares? And I think our hand is forced. Yeah, we're just super dead. We'll scoop this up. Yeah, that was brutal. I just want these Akroan Wars. Yeah, I think I want all of them. And I'm fine pitching a Rending Volley. It just didn't seem super... Like, it hit a lot, and it was nice, but I think the Akroan Wars are enough to get something out of the way at the last minute. Alright. It's a little awkward. Elvish Mystic on 1. I guess into just slam the Beast on 2, Chariot on 3. Yeah, okay. There's some risk our Beast gets stranded and not able to attack, but we have a lot of gas. I think it would be malpractice to mulligan this. Rafine's Tower, sure. we draw Bone Crusher Giant, which is a little less committal than the Lovestruck Beast, but casting Bone Crusher Giant as a creature here leaves us a little blank to the Fable token, or yeah, I guess the Fable token. Yeah, I think I'm going to play the Lovestruck Beast anyway. I think the Stomp is more relevant. It's more pressure on the board, and Lovestruck Beast still crews the Chariot, even in the worst case. So, yeah, let's just get the Mutavault in play and just play the Lovestruck Beast. If they have an answer to the Llanowar Elf, then the Beast has to stay home. But Leyline Binding targets the Elf. Okay. We find another Elf, which means we get to attack this turn if we want. And hold up Stomp for the Fable token that we're pretty sure is coming. Yeah. And if not, we can Stomp face. I guess maybe there's a world where if they play Fable here, we actually just slam Akroan War and steal the token. Instead, it's another Leyline Binding. This one targets Llanowar Elf. Alrighty then. Alright, well, I'm going to Stomp face now. Find the Cleave. No real great attacks here. We can power up the Mutavault, but we don't have any... We're not developing the board in that case. I think I'm just going to play the Bone Crusher Giant and try to get in. It's possible the opponent has Leyline Binding number 3, but if they have, like, 3 Swords to Plowshares, I think we probably just lose the game. Opponent plays Otawara rather than holding it in hand. A little suspect. Awkward. You can play the Mystic to unblock the Lovestruck Beast attacking, which I guess is the play. Are we powering up the Mutavault? If they have Stomp? Well, let's go into combat and see. If we power up the Mutavault and they kill the Jeez, they do have the 3rd Leyline Binding. Jesus Christ. What's the target for this one? Probably the Elf. Yeah, alright. Well, in that case, we're gonna get in with the Mutavault and hope that's good enough. They can't Stomp here. They don't have any red. Alright, sure. So we win. That did not feel good. 3 1-mana Leyline Bindings, but, you know, sometimes just Gruul Adventures gets you there. On the play, we have Elf. It's honestly kind of a mopey hand, but good enough to keep still, I think. Thank you for believing in me, Phoenix. Opponent plays Hive. Is our Elf getting fatally pushed? Yes, it is. So... reasonably likely that opponent plays Bloodtithe Harvester. I guess the question is, are they playing Rogues or are they playing Rakdos? If they're playing Rakdos, holding up Stomp feels great. If they're playing Rogues, probably Elves. Rakdos is the more popular list right now. Yeah, I'm just going to play the land out. I don't want to expose the Elf to another piece of removal. Yeah, okay, it is Rakdos. Hopefully they play Harvester and we get to Stomp it, play Bone Crusher next turn. This matchup should be good for us. Azorius Shadow we will definitely kill before they get the opportunity to pump it. Skysovereign is just an absolute animal in this matchup, so we're thrilled to be able to do that. I'm going to shock in the Stomp rather than play another Pain land. I'd rather get some pain-free red going. We can just play Stomp, play Llanowar Elves, and next turn get the boat down. If they play Thoughtseize next turn, we're in really rough shape. Their next turn is most likely to be Fable. If it is, then Stomp, having Stomp available for that would be great. But then we can just Stomp it next turn. Yeah, I'm going to play the Bone Crusher here. It is Fable. And I guess we're playing the damn Mystics, finally. Yeah, we'll Stomp the Shaman before they get to untap. Yeah. And next turn's the boat, which will kill the, I don't know why I'm being asked to respond to my own Elvish Mystic. Put him to 16. Alright. They get to go digging. We also just have a Lair of the Hydra threatening to beat them down too. Advantages of being on the play. Urborg, so is it time for Sheoldred? It is time for Sheoldred. We draw a land, which is not the best. We can attack with Bone Crusher Giant. It's utterly transparent that we have a way to finish off Sheoldred. But if they let it through, then that's still 4 damage, and this thing flies. Sure. Swing with the Giant. Wow. They actually block, so they have another Sheoldred, I guess is what they're saying. Alright, and we have a Bone Crusher Giant that's ready to crew the boat to kill this flipped Fable. So if they don't have like a Braid, we're in pretty good shape, I think. We are pretty much empty-handed to their 4 cards. But this is difficult to interact with. If their removal is Go for the Throat, it doesn't hit Skysovereign. Bloodtithe Harvester, sure. So Kiki Jiki needs to die. Because otherwise they get to copy the Harvester and mow down our board next turn. Llanowar Elves, realistically not the best draw. Can we go to combat? Does the boat live? It does. Kill that Fable. Cracking the Blood, pitching a Bone Crusher Giant. And they're just at 10, and we have a board. Is there a reason to play out this elf? Yeah, it makes the Hydra one bigger, I guess. It's also 3 power to be able to crew the boat in the event that they kill the Bone Crusher Giant. I'm not watching the Kraken game. I'd rather stream, I think. I'm not like a huge Kraken fan. I'll watch, but they're not really my bread and butter. Another Fable. And they're playing out the Black Leaf Cliffs. mean, alright. Pack leader's pretty good. We need 4 mana left to activate this, but I guess that doesn't actually make a difference. Yeah, fuck it. Combat. I guess I maybe should have, yeah, powered up the Hydra. Yeah, we're just gonna kill the Blood Tithe Harvester. It's the biggest threat, I guess. They can power up the Mutavault and trade with the Bone Crusher Giant, I guess. If I had powered this up, it wouldn't have been very much extra damage anyway. Yeah, we'll definitely kill the Mutavault here. Great. Opponents at 4. They have 3 cards to look at to get them out of this spot. It's going to be tough. Basically has to be an answer to both Pack Leader and the boat, and I don't know what that could be. Alright, cool. The block with the Sheoldred earlier in the game was possibly a mistake on their part. Alright, so Rakdos stuff. We bring in the Akroan Wars. The Thruns are great against their single target removal. Scavenging Ooze seems okay. Maybe we just want to be, especially on the draw, maybe we want to cut some number of these elves. They're just not likely to live. Maybe I cut... On the draw, maybe the cleave is just really bad. Maybe I cut some number of elves. Not sure how many yet. Bolts seem okay. We don't have many answers to Sheoldred other than the Akroan War, but I think them is just the breaks. I think I'm gonna cut the Ooze as well. It's just vulnerable to Stomp. Lovestruck Beast will be difficult to get in. Maybe I'll trim a beast. Maybe it's this. Alright, well, the hand is lacking a little something, but hard to throw this one back. The elf is probably as good as dead, but we have removal. Lands are good draws, spells are good draws. And we are on the draw. They probably also feel the need to kill this Mystic on sight, because they don't know that we don't have a way to use the mana next turn. Blood Tithe Harvester is going to be worth an Obliterating Bolt, I think. Instead we draw Miglos, which we could deploy, but I don't want this Harvester killing my Mystic. So I am fine just killing this on sight, getting in for 1. And whenever you get attacked by these elves, I think you feel less pressure to actually kill it, and I would love to be able to untap with 4 mana here. Even if we don't, Miglos is a pretty good play. Like, a 4/4 for 3 is just great. And maybe it's just Fable Token here. No, instead they're cracking the Blood, pitching Dreadbore. It's another Blood Tithe Harvester, okay. So we're going to get to cast something big. The question is, what will it be? We can Akroan War away the Blood Tithe Harvester. If their next turn is Sheoldred, then that's kind of sad. I think instead it's just going to be Chariot. And we'll say go. We would love for them to play Sheoldred here and steal it. Crew, get in. Instead it's Fable. Blood-Scythe Harvester kills the cat. We're not going to crew in response. They couldn't, like, that enables Revolt for them, so they could kill the Chariot with Fatal Push if that's the extra card they have in their hand. They left us with a Mystic instead of the token, which is probably not great for them. Options, options, options. I think I just like Akroan War. They could, if they do have Fatal Push, like if that's the right read, then we don't get to crew the Chariot. This, I think, is too good not to do. If they had Fatal Push, the Mystic would have been dead. They wouldn't have killed it. So we're going to steal this Goblin Shaman. Crew. And we're going to make a copy of the Goblin Shaman when we attack, which is gas. They had the Fatal Push? Are you insane? That makes no sense. I'm sorry, that having Fatal Push in that spot makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, well, here's Sheoldred, which we anticipated. Like, I wouldn't have played this Akroan War if it was our only one. So Sheoldred's going to be forced to attack, but that's fine. How about I cast the Akroan War? How does that sound? Sounds pretty good to me. And how about I crew Sheoldred, I crew Esika's Chariot using your Sheoldred? That also sounds pretty good to me. Oh, should have copied the cat. Or should have attacked with the cat. Hopefully that doesn't cost me. Alright, so opponent's going to go to effective 9 with the Sheoldred in play. We are just all gassed up because the opponent did not kill our elf with that Fatal Push all those turns ago. Power Word Kill kills Sheoldred. It was nice knowing you. They have tons of removal, but they're finally exhausted. We actually have more cards in hand than the Rakdos player, which is wild. Alright, we have 5 mana. Yeah, they killed their own Sheoldred, so there's no... I could have crewed Sheoldred in response so it would deal death touch damage to itself and kill it that way. Sure. So these are going to resolve. And what's the play? We have a ton of options, realistically. Yeah, let's just... I think it's just stomp, cast Bonecrusher Giant, crew, swing, win. Is it better to play Bonecrusher or is it better to play Miglos? I guess we could also play Pack Leader instead, which lets us attack with the Elf. That's going to be 4, 6, 8. That's actually the difference between lethal and not. Alright. Oh, actually, never mind. For some reason in my head, Chariot crewed for 3 because the boat crews for 3. Alright, so it looks like Blood is going to enable Revolt from Fatal Push. This Chariot's going to die. Or not. Okay. Sure, so, yeah, if I had that to do over again, I would have played the Bonecrusher Giant instead of the Pack Leader. But because it amounts to the same thing. It's just better to have the Bone Crusher on the board. Okay, on the draw, with all things considered quite a good opening hand, we're going to keep this. Alright, and it looks like the final boss here is Blue-White Control, which I would think is not a very good matchup for us. But we do have Thrun in the board for that. Lay Down Arms kills the elf, that's fine. Yeah. I really want to get Pack Leader down under Counter Magic. Like under Censor, under Absorb, that kind of thing. Make Gloves is pretty good. I will attempt to go to combat. So the scariest thing here is Censor. If they have Censor and we cast Miklos into it, we feel pretty bad. We can also just Lovestruck Beast, or like Heart's Desire, Bone Crusher their face on end step, have Embercleave the next turn, which I think I like the most. They're considering vetoing this. They don't, though. I'll pass with every intention of stomping their face. Oh, it looks like they have March. March hits Werewolf Pack Leader. That sucks. But okay. Maybe in response to that, I'm supposed to stomp their face so they can't absorb the stomp. Because now we're kind of in a rough spot. But I guess I want them to absorb it. Do I, though? Because then, yeah. Because now Supreme Verdict is really likely, and it's very hard for us to effectively play around. That just resolved, eh? Alright. So 4 mana. Miglos, I guess, has the nice bonus of being able to be vigilant next turn, so if they don't have Verdict but do have Wandering Emperor, it attacks through that. So I think that makes my decision for me. And this plays around Censor just as well as anything else. If it's absorbed, then yeah, we're in some trouble. And it is. Okay. Well, at least if they're absorbing our creatures, then they're less likely to have Verdict. Because you would probably just let that resolve and wipe the board with Verdict the next turn. If you had it. But yeah, unfortunately, this just screams Wandering Emperor. And we're not going to really have a good way to deal with that. We can play land, swing with Mutavault. If we just swing with the 1/1, then they make a Samurai and block it. Yeah, I think we need to keep developing this board and not attack. And hope that Embercleave gets to resolve some way somehow. And I think that means not attacking with the Mutavault even. And we can't attack. Wandering Emperor is just too much of a threat. The Deluge isn't great to see either. You have to imagine that at this point, having gone 15 cards deep, they will find a Supreme Verdict. And we have a creature land. We can try to play through that. Wow. Opponent casts Memory Deluge and misses a land drop. Suspicious. So 6 mana. What happens if we swing and a Wandering Emperor hit the Bone Crusher Giant? Disaster, kind of. I think we keep developing the board. Well, we can attack with the Mutavault and try to coax them into Wandering Emperor minus on the creature land. If they do, we get to cleave up the Bone Crusher Giant. Alright. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. That's wild. They're just letting it go. So this will be 10. Not enough to be lethal. So we just let this go. And yeah, now I think we're gonna Lovestruck Beast it up. And probably hold this Mystic in hand. Plays around a board wipe, and if they kill this human token, we'll have another 1/1 that they don't know about to enable the Lovestruck Beast to attack next turn. Having another attacker does make the Embercleave cheaper. We probably don't need Embercleave at this point. So the only way Mystic is bad is if they have Supreme Verdict, exactly. If they do have Supreme Verdict, is it worth it having Mystic in my hand? I think so. Another Deluge. So pretty likely to find Supreme Verdict here, I would think. But now we have Embercleave, or now we have Mutavault. Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like this is going to be really tough to seal the deal. Found their land. Lay down arms on Lovestruck Beast feels pretty good. Now they're tapped out of Wandering Emperor mana. Okay. So they go to 8. We're at a casual 29. So power up the Mutavault, swing. We can cleave, attach to the Mutavault, deal 6/7 to them. They've shown us they don't have a board wipe. If they did, then they wouldn't have done these laydown arms. I guess Farewell is a possibility. I think I just attack with a not cleaved Mutavault and play both sides of Lovestruck Beast. I think that's the play. Yeah, I'm not doing this math wrong, right? It's only 7 if I cleave. Fateful Absence on the Mutavault. Okay. It's a lot of removal. So now they're at 7. We don't have a Mutavault to play around Farewell if they find it. Alright, I mean... yeah, so at this point, like, it was always going to be very difficult to get through 5 removal spells and an Absorb. So now I think we just have to push all of the chips in. We could draw Chariot, too. Like, if it's land Farewell here, then Chariot off the top would be pretty good. Well, that's Chariot. We'll attempt to go to combat. And we'll see if they have Wandering Emperor now. Or is my wreckage getting settled? Shark Typhoon for 1. So we can cleave for 3, still have the clue activation. If they have Veto, then Veto's going to get used on Embercleave or Chariot no matter what. I think it's Cleave now, to avoid them drawing Counterspell. Yeah. Change the equation's pretty good. Alright, fine. So the shark gets to block the Lovestruck Beast. They go to 5. And I guess we're just cracking the clue on their end step, casting Chariot next turn. Change the equation, what a card, eh? Opponent has nothing but gas in their hand. They've been missing land drops all game long, despite casting 2 Memory Deluge. We find Stomp. Alright. Combat. The team. Another shark. So now if they don't have another way to kill the Lovestruck Beast, it's just lethal. I think we're going to stomp this before they draw Dovin's Veto. Okay, that resolved. Go to damage. They have another march. They have another march. Alrighty then. So they go to 3. Worst case again is another Supreme Verdict plus change the equation. I mean, we're just gonna cast Bone Crusher. Opponent is tenacious. Like, look at all these removal spells. We have to be their nut best matchup, and it's like not close. At long last, land number 6 for them. So Farewell is online. There it is, but we have Chariot to recover. And we're just going to go for the whole Monty. Show me, opponent. Do you have Farewell number 2? Most lists do not run 2 Farewells in the main. Are we crewing? No. Crewing means they only need 1 kill spell to stay alive. Not crewing means they need to have 2. Castle, and it has to be March. Uh-huh. Go to 1. Do I play this land? No reason not to. Wow. That was a game of Magic. That was just game 1. So how do we feel in game 2? I think a lot worse, honestly. So Thrun comes in. That's nice. So what's not so great? Scavenging Ooze. Well, Scavenging Ooze hits. Memory Deluge. Akroan War seems pretty bad. Skysovereign seems pretty bad. Yeah, realistically, it's probably bored out. Did the opponent have a companion? No. Because if they did, that would have guaranteed at least 1 target for Akroan War. Honestly, I just feel like we're a pretty big dog. I guess the vehicle is marginally better than the Akroan War because it's protection against wraths. Like, if opponent's Supreme Verdicts and we have this in play, we can attack, but that's pretty thin. Any reason to bring in Rending Volley? I guess they could have the Regal Carousel card. They probably have some number of those. Those might be better than the boat. Yeah, I think I like this, actually. On the draw, and we have a relatively aggressive opening hand. Opponent did have Kahira, just didn't show in the log. I do feel quite behind. But we're just gonna do what Gruul players do and throw their stuff onto the board and hope it's good enough. No blue mana from the opponent means we do not live in fear of Censor. March will kill the elf. And that's fine. Our life total doesn't matter. I'm going to shock this in because I don't want to make a decision about what color to put these lands on yet. Again, opponent has no blue mana, although they will shortly. Alright, let's go to combat and see what happens. So the threat here is Field of Rune Crack for blue, go Supreme Verdict next turn. What's the most resilient way around that? I don't think there particularly is one, honestly. I know I want one of these on... I know I want one of these on red, so I have double red for Embercleave should I draw it. And this, leaves Rending Volley up for whatever. Next turn, I do feel like we're going to get Verdicted, and we'll have to follow up with Chariot and hope that's good enough. Field of Ruin, hit Stomping Ground, sure. We actually somehow have no basic lands in our two-color deck. That is insane. Wow. That can't be right. That's terrible. So now, land Verdict, and we don't even get to play the post-Verdict Chariot. Not great. Oh, just main phase Wandering Emperor. Okay. Too bad Rending Volley doesn't hit Planeswalkers. Sup, dog? Heard you like werewolf pack leaders. Yeah, I mean, kill Wandering Emperor. And run this back, I guess. If Wandering Emperor that turn, Thrower to the Wolves was the best they had, then they probably don't have the Verdict. Interesting. So we can Stormseeker and practically guarantee that we get to draw a card here. Well, if it doesn't resolve and they counter it, then we're still attacking for 6. We get to draw anyway. Yeah, I'm in. Make disappear, sure. So like now the worst case is they have like Fateful Absence or something. Oh, it's March exiling Dovin's Veto. Alright. I mean, opponent's on 2 cards in hand. We have an active pack leader. And we have a Chariot in hand. So things are not the worst. Land to Fairy would be bad. Buy Kahira. Feels great, man. We're gonna go to combat. Swing. And it's just Mutavault Chariot here, right? There's no worry about Farewell. Next turn, even if they wipe the board, we have Lovestruck Beast to crew the Chariot and attack. Just play the Kahira. We have the Rending Volley for that. So what happens here? We Rending Volley Kahira, play Lovestruck Beast, crew, attack. We get in for 11 damage. Yeah, man. because that'll put them to 2 and leave them dead to the Mutavault, even if they do find the Farewell. And we get to draw off the pack leader too. Sick. Now we even get to hold up Rending Volley. If for some reason they like cycle a Shark main phase or whatever. Hey, it's the Regal Carousel card. But it's not going to have lifelink because we boarded in these Rending Volleys because we're really smart. Alright. Cool. Got there. Alright, so 4-1 with Gruul vehicles. Feel like I misplayed match 1, and I feel like I misplayed here and there, but overall, pretty convincing result. Happy with the deck.